here's a pop quiz. How many times can we have a snap awake? Because we get snap awake here on page 2. Then we get to the end of the issue, and RIPCLAW has another snap awake. But he's dreaming of these two well-drawn misfits here. Warblade, who's now a good guy with Wildcats, and Misery, who's somewhat shared between Jim Lee and Marc Silvestri, but later becomes a Marc Silvestri character in future issues of Cyberforce. This stuff gets so complicated. AKA Padders, we're back at Cyberforce #1 for this Top Cow Tuesday. Their second #1, the Volume 2 #1. Now, this series has a strong 3 years, but it starts with this issue and starts with a crossover. Let's get into it. Happy Top Cow Tuesday. Let's go. AKA Padders, welcome back to the channel. Peter A. DeLuca here, AKA Pad69, and say it with me, known throughout Philadelphia, PA, Europe, and the vast multiverse as your eclectic one. All systems are go. We are getting into the nitty gritty of Top Cow Tuesday, and if you're new here, thank you for discovering me, thank you for commenting, thank you for giving me a like. It helps the channel grow. We must defeat that YouTube algorithm. But real quick, we gotta do a promo, an in-house promo. Over here, I have the sketchbook. It's like a holofoil sketchbook. Tonight live, I'm going to be cracking this sketchbook open for the first time, and we're going to get into one of my sketchbook projects. Now, a lot of you have already discovered me through my G.I. Joe live streams that I do over the weekend, where I'm working very hard to draw or illustrate or somehow with little art direction, but portray the most hated G.I. Joes in my way, in my style, as only the AKA Pad hand can provide. But we're doing something different with this sketchbook. This is going to be, it's a design sketchbook that goes throughout the entire history of the Transformers lore. And I really do believe Transformers is the greatest toy line ever. But G.I. Joe has the greatest toy line characters ever. I know that's a delineation. It's going to upset some people. So just be ready for that. That's going to be live on Tuesday. Maybe we'll make that, Transformer Tuesday live streams. Notes about this. So this is their second #1. Top Cow runs a 4-issue miniseries, very successful. Marc Silvestri is spinning out of Marvel Comics. He's spinning out of X-Men and maybe the greatest Wolverine run of all time. I adore his Wolverine run. And we get into, we're working into a prologue of what is this, the Killer Instinct crossover that also has... Yeah, and Killer Instinct crosses over with Wildcats. And this is the amazing thing to where these two companies both launched with a very successful 4-issue miniseries. Later, to go monthly and to do an interconnected, pretty much a company-wide crossover. So imagine being 5 months into a book and already doing a company-wide crossover. That's what Killer Instinct was. But Killer Instinct is really the trial and tribulation, and you can kind of even argue like character discovery of one RIPCLAW here. And RIPCLAW, Cyberforce's Wolverine, RIPCLAW, and Wildcats Wolverine, Warblade get together. So it's almost just like this Wolverine analog super crossover with a babe of babes, Misery, smack in the middle, and we know Wolverine is susceptible to babes. So but before we can do that, we have to get into issue 1, the prologue of Killer Instinct, because there's some character notes that don't really cross over into Killer Instinct, but they're separate, and that's why this book is separate. Let's go. Bingo bango. So here's an error. Well, a correction. I want to elaborate. So previously, I referenced, or kind of pretty much framed, and let's get those lights up. I referenced Cyberforce 0 as preceding Cyberforce 1. Technically, it does. This, you can really read Cyber Force Zero before you get into the 4-issue mini and then the monthly. But the publication of Cyber Force Zero comes in this order. We get the 4-issue mini, we get Cyber Force Zero, which pretty much acts as a prologue going into Killer Instinct, and then we get the issue 1 drop. Now, the other caveat here is we're at Cyber Force 1996. This was published in 96. It's $1. We gotta go back 4 years to get the proper direct edition. This was a reprint that was a Discover the Series pickup issue, 99-cent reprint. At this point, some of the Image titles were pushing this idea, like cheap entry points into their series. Now, as an entry point, though, if you get Cyber Force 1 and you're expecting... So this whole issue builds into the last 2 panels. Geez, RIPCLAW's in trouble, guys. Heatwave to computer. Please verify present location of subject designate RIPCLAW. Computer talk here, guys. Imagine a computer voice. Subject in question has left the compound and is proceeding on foot in a northeast-western direction. Alright, guys and gals, time to saddle up, and Cyber Force is deploying to be continued into, and drumroll, into the Killer Instinct. Welcome to the Killer Instinct Tour 93, 94. Look at all the people involved with the tour. We have a laundry list. We have some great graphic design. So you can kind of tell, graphic design wise, within 4 years, I just want to make this note. We get these in-house, they're not filters, but they're plugins. And this is like a 3D plugin that looks like it could work with either Quark Express or Adobe Design. But 4 years from now, we get this like boom period by Top Cow, and their graphic design just sings and screams, and it grows exponentially. And Top Cow's like 3 parallels. They had like kind of like superior illustration, superior graphic design, and superior coloring, or more or less the coloring falls in line with art direction, because the books all themselves have a unified tone. But yeah, before we get into Killer Instinct, RIPCLAW here needs to have some bad dreams, but this is for our next episode. The other big note of this issue is we are now slowly recruiting Ballistic. Mind if I, can't you creeps? Take a hint. So this kind of is a little bit of a callback to the original 4-issue miniseries, to where these characters like to hang out at bars and they always get hit on. This is a theme that we see throughout a lot of the Top Cow books. Yeah, look, I'm through listening to you and anybody else who tries to tell me how to run my life. Now get the hell out of here and don't come back. And she's just like, in the back of her hand, she grabs this bottle and just completely nukes and wrecks Stryker here, who is one part cyborg face, but she kind of hits the non-cyborg face. I would be really pissed about that. And, we get this shared pose here. This pose runs through Homage Studios. It runs through Jim Lee's use, and it runs through Marc Silvestri's use, and others. This is, a lot of people will go to the Wolverine coming at you Jim Lee riff from X-Men. The crotch or the taint getting thrown into the wall is maybe the most Jim Lee overused pose. Or, Homage Studios pose, because I'm not sure if Jim Lee came up with this or Marc Silvestri. But, look, they go back and forth, and we're building towards kind of Ballistic showing up in the covers. And we kind of spoke about this before, where previously, when Ballistic was seen on the covers, it was a little bit confusing. And then we get some of this nice stuff. We get some nice green tones by our boy here, Joe Chiodo. Look at these greens, and this is the magistry of Marc Silvestri's illustration ability, because we see Felicity upside down twice in this issue, but if you notice, see the line work and how it kind of blends into the horizon and just fades away delicately. And this is a very simple panel. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate characters in a quarter of a page, right? But we get the distance of them all. You know, we get that impact here is huge. We get the Dr. Boy is medium. Kid or Chip is small, right? And then, or Timmy, sorry, Timmy's small. We get the cat from the miniseries. Remember, the whole point of the original Wildcats miniseries was to save this cat. And we get Felicity here floating in the background, and it all works, right? Marc Silvestri gives us a amazing bird's eye view with 2 little guy poses. Always judge an artist and an illustrator and a storyteller by how well they draw the faraway poses. But we go back to the bar, and we get a bar stool getting thrown right out the window. 2 individuals running for their lives, and this has always been, it works and it doesn't. But they're going back and forth. So Stryker and Ballistic are kind of like, are they trying to kill each other? I don't know. Later, 2 years from now, they get a relationship. But she picks up these straws, and she throws them bullseye style, and, you know, they're a deadly weapon. And I always debated this, if it should have been knives or forks, and I get the idea that they're straws, and she throws the straws so perfectly and accurately that it cuts into the wood panels of the wall and the table that Stryker picks up to protect himself. It's tough. I feel like this would have worked with silverware versus straws. It's hard to buy that she can make straws so deadly, but it sells the point that anything the girl touches is a weapon. And again, from a character like Ballistic, our babe here, that's what we want. And we're keeping the running dialogue that Silvestri's poses towards the viewer, towards the audience, isn't as tight as Jim Lee. We see that here. But he later gets better with it. He later really nails it. But yeah, the 2 of them come to terms. Well then, I guess there's only one thing left to say. Welcome to the 90s, old man. Nice to know there are some parts of you that aren't made of metal. I mean, that's incredible. And if we get into the fight, we expertly zap the background and we negativize the panel. White background. White background. White background. White background, perfect silhouette. And what this does, it just creates a little bit of that distance so we can follow and we track it and we know everything that is going on. So yeah, so this leads to Ballistic joining the team. These are some of the character notes I was speaking of that don't show up in the Killer Instinct story. The other character note is, we'll say it, like the rogue of the team. We see the team through Felicity's eyes. Felicity is just trucking along. We get a little bit of a recap with Cyberforce 1 through 4, but she's with Cyberforce. Her brain was erased. She's still working on her memories. Then out of nowhere, she gets attacked by this drone. She makes quick work of the drone. Second time, Silvestri draws Felicity upside down. Great sequence here, by the way, guys. If you really want nice panel storytelling, but you know, she gets encountered by someone here, but it ain't that bad. I wonder what else is out here, huh? And then we get our boy here, our darling, our Bet. If you like Wolverine and if you like Native Americans, did you watch Daniel Day-Lewis in Last of the Mohicans? Well, we have a character for you. His name's RIPCLAW, and he's going to teach you how to fight. And that's exactly what they do. They go back and forth. So essentially, he harms her to the point of having to get rehabbed. Okay, he like beats her up a little. This is great. And look at this effing pose. Look at this pose by Silvestri. Again, white background, but look at this pose. It doesn't get any better than this. So normally, if you watch like the comic book greats, they sell this idea of using anchors on pages, and they call it like the anchor, so you know to turn the page. Silvestri's already one step ahead because Silvestri is the better storyteller. We get the anchor here. We get the money shot on panel 3, but then we're done with this sequence with a silhouette. Isn't it amazing how a silhouette tells you we're done with the scene, we're done with the sequence? And we get what I believe to be, we're not done here. We still need a couple panels. The scene should have ended here. It doesn't. Disappointing here. It's disappointing to the point where the actual money shot is covered with a word balloon. So, you know, potentially Eric Silvestri and Marc Silvestri worked out something here. With that said, you can kind of pretty much even have a silhouette here of the two on the ground, or a medium shot with just the word balloons going. I would have preferred that. I think these two panels are a waste, but another silhouette would have sold the idea of, you know, we're moving on, and what we're moving on to is a little bit of a gotcha, because Heatwave comes in and zaps zaps RIPCLAW for being too rough with Felicity. This is the same scene. It's the same scene, but here we have blue. Here we have blue. Here we have blue. Here we have blue. Do you guys follow? Here we have blue. Here we have purple. And the tone of now these two pages look the same. So this page is confusing. This page is a failure. What I would like pitch would be if the top panel really look. We have trees. We have trees. We have our ground, and then we kind of have, you know, we would have RIPCLAW here, like on top of a fallen, and then, you know, fallen Felicity, and then we'll demonstrate real quick. We'll just grab a different color. We can word balloon the hell out of it, okay? And then from here, when Heatwave shows up, it really kind of should be like kind of Heatwave's eye, like the mask, and then our boy here gets zapped. He gets zapped, and then we still have room for the money shot, which is Heatwave coming up to a RIPCLAW, and we take this panel. We take out this panel. I think that explains it, but at the same time, we would want to hue it. You know, like we want to tag it, so we need all that blue here. Like we need blue, 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 just so we know we're still in the woods. Because this negative panel here doesn't work. But yeah, then we get to the bar. So the bar fight starts, and we're there. Like, this is the issue. Let's start from the beginning. Dream sequence from RIPCLAW. RIPCLAW is dreaming of Warblade, thrashing him. He wakes up. Come on, money shot. Felicity running, money shot. Amazing illustrations. Marc Silvestri kicking ass. Look at all the amazing drawings, and we're like 6 pages in. Another amazing drawing here. We're back at the suplex, the gas station again. This is like a triple negative silhouette, because we have the contour of the tree here. We have the silhouette here of the tree, and then we have the reverse contour silhouette here of the tree line. So it's like 1, 2, 3, and that's a Burn Hogarth trick, everyone. Bernie Hogarth. If we need to get reminded, let's remind ourselves of both Hogarth and what Hogarth teaches us about lighting here. So if we go to chapter 9 of Dynamic Light and Shade, we get this. Spectral light. Lights in the foreground. Okay? Boom. Lights in the middle ground. Lights in the middle ground. Lights in the remote distance. And then you can just combine them. So just through silhouettes, you create a lot of depth. But yeah, Heatwave comes in, plays the hero. We get back to the bar. We're to the bar. The fight breaks out of our two favorite characters, right? Look, we like Ballistic and Striker. We're not Team RIPCLAW. Then we're back at the rehab. Thank you, Empire Strikes Back. We're back at the fight. We're back at the fight. RIPCLAW has another dream where he gets destroyed by Warblade. Now, we do have to reference a little bit of Cyberforce Zero. Cyberforce Zero acts as prologue to Killer Instinct, because we get these early shots, early ideas of Warblade just buzzing around. You know, he's with Misery here. He's Warblade is kind of not Cyberforce. He's Cyber Data, and he's a shock trooper with some of the Cyberforce individuals. This whole issue, if you guys need a quick recap, this chip controls everyone outside of the Stormwatch guys, but the chip controls everyone, and some of the Cyberforce guys have no chip. Boom. But yeah, he wakes up again, wakes up screaming. Another beautiful shot by Silvestri. I always dug Cyblade with what she wore in this. Look at what she's wearing. Like, hottie hot. And, you know, pushing promo here for Homage Studios. And to be continued. And then we enter into the 96 graphic design. Garth Ennis. Brandon Peterson. Medieval Spawn and Witchblade. I have yet to read this, but look at the design. Turn the page. Here's a statue I need. Okay, not their best design, but you kind of want to say this is coming from the distributor maybe, or like the lawyer, because the lawyer is like, we need things structured a certain way for this offer. Marc Silvestri's RIPCLAW number 4. David Wool coming in. David Wool, like I said, later becomes the architect of the Cyberforce universe. The combat begins here. Great cover. I mean, great illustration, great ad. Witchblade 4. I mean, you flip through the end of this, you want to buy everything. The U.S. Arsenal of Democracy versus Weapon Zero in Weapon Zero 2. Red, white, and blue. You get the guy, stars and stripes over here, ready to rock and roll. The comic book spectacular, you always kind of get the idea that some of these convention ads are from the convention center, not from Top Cow in-house. But yeah, Top Cow Productions here. Guaranteed to be in stores. And we get our, come on, February 1996 promo time. Look at this. I love the logos. I love the justification of all the different types. I think this works so well. 21. So 21, I'm not like, does One Little Rebellion really matter? I'm not familiar. Look, Len Wein wrote this. I'm not familiar. And we're doing Ballistic Studios. Ballistic was like the leftover of Homage Studios. Kind of like pre-Top Cow. So Top Cow production gets formed and Ballistic Studios rolls in. And then we have Ballistic Action here, which is Michael Turner he's here. He has arrived. Look at this Ballistic climbing rocks. And supposedly, right, Turner did this stuff for real. He's like cutting his own little promo here. I always love this image. Reminds me of Mission Impossible 2. The greatest of the Mission Impossibles. If you're not into that John Woo Mission Impossible, please walk. But yeah, I mean, guys, a lot of history, a lot of things. Next week, let's preview, let's discuss a little bit of next week. We'll get into the Killer Instinct tour book. We'll get into Killer Instinct Part 2, Killer Instinct Part 4, Cyberforce 3 with the gold edition, because, you know, we're gold over here. But yeah, we'll be going through Killer Instinct, and next week we'll combine Wildstorm Wednesday and Top Cow Tuesday to do all of Killer Instinct.